Today I'm going to be explaining to you the biggest mistakes I've made since becoming an entrepreneur, not because I enjoy reliving this, but because I don't want you to make the same mistakes. So I've literally wasted thousands of pounds, burnt it like this cash pile here, and I've wasted years of my life because I was making mistakes the whole time. And now I can look back, see these mistakes for what they were, and tell you how to avoid them and what to do instead. So I've got 5 mistakes I'm going to share with you today. None of them I'm proud of, but I'm proud of the way that I reacted to them and the way that I can learn from them and teach you how to avoid them moving forward. And then at the end of the video, I'll explain how I would avoid them from the start and what I would do if I could have my time again. So let's get straight into it. The first biggest mistake I made was thinking that I could do it all on my own. And this was the way it ended up for me. This graphic here perfectly depicts how I was after I tried to go out on my own. I'd end up with my head in my hands, looking at my desk, thinking, what on earth was I doing? Wasting my time, wasting my money because I didn't ask for help. So the way this manifested for me was that I thought I could figure everything out by myself. Maybe this is a thing that we do as entrepreneurs, as young men, maybe same with women, I'm sure as well. But initially you just feel like you want to be dependent and you want to feel like you can figure things out by yourself. And so what I did was watch 1 or 2 YouTube videos, and I'd follow the process that I learned in those YouTube videos. Obviously, wasn't asking for help, wasn't making any comments, wasn't asking anything from these people other than just watching one video and then trying to spend money testing ads by running ads to a website that I'd built, trying to make a business get off the ground. And I didn't ask for help. The result of this was that I was burning money on their ads. I didn't follow the processes that I know how to follow now. And so inevitably, I wasted a lot of money because I wasn't asking for help. I tried to do this thing, even though I'd never done it before. I thought, oh, don't worry, if I just do it, I'll work it out. But inevitably the case was that I couldn't work it out on my own. And so the lesson I take away from this and the lesson that I give to you is if you try and do things all alone, it's the fastest way to slow yourself down. They say if you want to do something on your own, if you want to do something fast, you'll do it on your own. If you want to go far, you do it with other people. And I truly believe this because ultimately we've got big goals. If you're watching this video now, if you're similar to me, you'll have big goals for your life. And so the only way you're going to go far and get to that big goal is when you are surrounded by other people already on that same goal, already ahead of you, because they can guide you the whole way. And I wish I was able to ask for help earlier on in my journey so I didn't have to go through this and make these mistakes on my own. Second biggest mistake, waiting for the perfect time. And I'll put perfect time in quotation marks because we all know, I think, to some degree, that there is no perfect time, but there's almost this temptation to believe in it. Because you say to yourself that you need more time, or you say to yourself that you need more money because you're waiting for the right amount of time, the right amount of money before you can start something. But there will never be a perfect time. There was never a perfect time in my life. Because of that, because I always felt like I was waiting for a perfect time, I was waiting. But every month that I waited, it was another month stuck in a job that I didn't want. And I was in a 9-to-5 job. I didn't feel fulfilled. I knew I wasn't reaching my potential. I knew there was something else I wanted to do in my life. But I didn't have the courage to start because I was waiting for a better time. And it didn't feel like there was going to be a better time. Because initially it was because I wasn't that early into the job. And I thought, well, I better stay in this job for a while before I start building something away from this job. Other reasons were like, well, I don't have the financial stability right now that I feel like I can invest in things to build a business. So that felt like I didn't have the time. And there were all these reasons, all these excuses I could give. But as long as I was waiting, every month I was getting no closer to my goals. All I was doing was keeping myself stuck in that job that I didn't want long term. So the lesson, of course, the best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time is now today. And the only way we can actually take action is on what we do in the present moment. So we need to start taking action. I wish I'd taken action. I'd have literally made hundreds of thousands of pounds more money had I done that, because I can see what people did a few years before me. And I just... incredible. I don't want to relive it too much, but honestly, thousands of pounds have been wasted if I'd started earlier. It'll be the same for you as well. Mistake number 3, too much learning and not enough action. So what I used to do when I was in my come up phase, as I was trying to learn about online business and get started, I used to listen to every podcast out there and read every book. And I'd read about an average of about 40 books a year, but listen to podcasts every day. And I'd been learning a lot from these books. I'd been learning a lot from these podcasts. But I wasn't actually taking any action on the things I was learning. And I've learned recently that knowledge without any action is completely useless. We only need to learn things if we're going to take action on them. Otherwise, it's just stored in your brain to eventually leave your brain if you don't use it anyway. So I was listening to podcasts, watching videos, reading books, but I wasn't taking action. And I fell into this learning trap, and I was just convincing myself that I was making progress. And that was probably the most toxic part of it, is that because I was listening to podcasts and I was reading books, I'd convinced myself that day I had made progress because I'd learned something. But ultimately, if I hadn't taken any action on the things I was learning, then there's no point learning it in the first place. So the ultimate lesson from all of this is that you don't need more information. Everyone has information nowadays. Information is everywhere. What you need and what separates the most successful people is execution and actually taking action. So don't try and fill your mind with information, fill your day with execution instead. Mistake number 4, focusing on the wrong things. Now, this is a really big one for me because I initially thought it was all about which business model to go into. And so when I first got the idea and the goal of making money online, I would research online different business models, how to make money online, and I'd obsess over it. And I'd be reading articles after articles, watching YouTube videos, trying to get my head around what is the right type of business to build, and going really tactical very early, like learning all the intricacies of different business models before I'd even got started. And what I was putting my focus into was things that are actually downstream from the fundamentals, which are getting your mindset and my habits right. So I had the wrong mindset, and I wasn't fully appreciative of hard work. I didn't have the right habits in place. I was wasting a lot of my time. I wasn't focused on anything. And I thought that the most important thing was just about the strategy and the business that I was going to get into. But because I didn't have the fundamentals right, I was wasting my time with no matter what business I got into. If I didn't have that right in the first place, then it wouldn't have mattered what business I went into. And I can see that now with hindsight, because I see the most successful people that I get around and coach in my community and inside the program, Dropship Unlocked, that I coach inside of as well. I see the people that have the most success are those who have the ability to get the fundamentals right. They can take action, they can focus, they can be consistent. And so no matter what business you apply that to, if you can do those things, you'll make a success of it. So the lesson that I took away from all this was that mindset and fundamentals was more important than tactics. And it needs to happen in that order. You need to get the mindset and the fundamentals right first. And once you've got that as your solid foundations, then you can build the tactics on top. And that's when you build the right business model and you do all the tactics, and all the fancy things can come after it. But unless you've got a solid base of the mindset and your ability to focus and be consistent, none of it matters. So get the mindset right first. And I was too convinced by that it was the other way around. And all that happened was that I failed and I wasted money, wasted time, because I was going after business models. Yes, they were great businesses, and there was a lot of potential in the business models I initially tried. But because I didn't have my fundamentals right, didn't have a clear reason why I was doing it in the first place, it all came crashing down. So remember that. A great business model won't save you if you don't have the fundamentals in place first. Mistake number 5, final mistake, and a big one that held me back for a long time, was that I was thinking too small. I was playing it safe, and the goals I'd set for myself were just small goals. They weren't really goals that got me incredibly excited. They were just like matching my salary or things that were just goals that were thinking small and clearly not thinking like with the potential that I could create with my online businesses that I was building. So what that meant is that I never really fully pushed myself as far as I could. I never really had the excitement to go all in as much as I could have when I first started. And it was only when I started aiming higher and thinking bigger that everything changed for me. I had more excitement when I was thinking big. I was taking bigger actions and I was taking more risks. And with those risks, I got bigger rewards. So my lesson from this is to play bigger, because the biggest risk is playing too small. So the biggest risk we can do is to take no risks at all. So don't think small, think big when you create your goals. Now, what I would do now instead. So those are the 5 lessons that I needed to learn from. If I could go back in time, this is what I'd do now. First step, join a community. Because when you understand that you need to get your fundamentals right first, a fundamental thing that you need to understand is that you need to have the right environment around you. And I think by joining a community, that's the best way to get a fantastic environment of people who are like-minded, who want the best for you straight away. And it's not always easy to find that in your hometown where you're growing up. So speaking of community, I do have my own community which you're welcome to join, which is called Relentless Co. And inside the Relentless Co community, there's loads of resources in here on how to focus, how to be consistent, finding accountability partners, the whole blueprint for becoming somebody that can build freedom in their life. There's so many resources here that people have had and used to make big changes in their life. I encourage you to join. And because it's great fun as well, join the community, say hello, and interact with the conversation that we've got going on inside the community. That's the first thing I do, is get around others, get around like-minded others, because then, once you're in the right community, you can then focus on the fundamentals first. And that's what my community, Relentless Co, is built on. So it's built on helping people get better at focusing, get better at being consistent, and having the accountability around them to help them with the ambitions that they've got. And so when you've got those fundamentals in place, and so from the work that you've done inside the community, you'll be the type of person that can really focus on the goals you've got, can be really clear on the actions you need to take, and know exactly what to do every single day to get to the goals that you've got. Then once you've got those fundamentals in place, I guarantee you'll be in such a better place when you do go to then start any business, because you've got your fundamentals in place from the very start, and you've got a team around you that are going to help you with whatever goals you set for yourself. Then the third step would be to start a business as soon as possible. The reason I say that is because I spent way too much time procrastinating, way too much time thinking that learning was the be-all and end-all, and in reality, what would have been a much quicker learning curve for me would be entrepreneurship. I know for a fact, entrepreneurship is the single best way to improve yourself, because if you're not earning through entrepreneurship, you'll be learning instead, and you level up so much when you are starting a business, because businesses, they don't take prisoners. You know, if you're not providing value to a market, then there's no way around it. You won't get rewarded, so you'll have to learn, you'll have to level up. So I'd start immediately. I would stop the procrastination, stop the analysis paralysis, and just get started as soon as possible. And finally, with the goals that I set for myself, with the business that I'm running, aim higher from the start. Have big goals, back yourself, and you'll take much bigger actions because of it. So finally, I want to leave you on this. Your mistakes don't define you. What you do next does. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of mistakes. It'll happen on your journey. Ultimately, learn from them, and you'll become much better in the long run. Hopefully you'll be able to learn from my mistakes. You don't need to make these yourself. Take the actions that I recommend. You're welcome to join my community and get the fundamentals in place after watching this video. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.